So do you feel like maybe with the pick here for EHOME, this has to be kind of in the back of their mind for a hero that can potentially deal with some summons?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, they've already gone ahead and banned out the Bloodseeker, which obviously would have been a good pick for themselves, but they just didn't want to risk it being in the pool because they picked up the Pangolier for themselves. They're going to have an Earth Spirit, so it really feels like they just want to be teamfight dominators this time around. This isn't like a pick-off style of lineup. You know, Earth Spirit damage is slow to ramp. Same with the Pango. Same with the Death Prophet. Same with, well, Disruptor just doesn't have a ton of damage, right? So they're going to be building around these bigger cooldowns, whereas Execration, they're much more pick-off oriented, right? Avatos into Arrow, and then use Terrorblade to be able to push off the back of that. Really don't hate this TB pick either. Should be coming out of the laning stage just fine, and they don't really have anyone that likes to gap close, so it puts EHOME on a little bit of a timer, right? Like, if he gets into the Skadi, then DP feels very, very weak, and even Pango in the Rolling Thunder is going to be super vulnerable. They do go ahead and ban out that Lycan as well. They've you know, Xiaoyu and MKS, they've come up against Little Gun. They've come up against that combination a few times. So, obviously, this isn't Little Gun they're facing, but Execration, if there's anything to work with a Grimstroke, it's possibly that.
Well, speaking about MKS, what are we expecting out of him in regards to his carry matchup versus the Terrorblade? Morphling just got banned out by Execration. Is there some other position ones that are kind of standing out to you?
Wouldn't hate a Pos 1 Leshrac coming through here. I know it's not great against the TB as well, right? Once you get to that later stage, once you get against the Skadi. But again, if you've got a Bloodstone, as long as you can get some spells off, the Avatos combo, all of that lockdown isn't going to be quite as strong, even if you get the Phantom's Embrace onto him. Again, as long as your spells are going, it's just fine. And I already mentioned that they were sort of on a timer with this Terrorblade just getting way too strong. So I think something like that that's going to accelerate the pace even further is going to be a really good thing.
5 seconds remaining.
I wonder if they even consider an Ursa as well for EHOME, something MKS likes and does shape up pretty well versus the Terrorblade. Maybe have some issues with the Grimstroke Soulbind. I think the one nice thing is the fact that you don't see your offlane, and Ursa should do fine in a lot of matchups. So you could even, I was going to say Monkey King, but maybe you don't have ways to keep them inside the ring. I don't think you need like a position one that really hits towers, because the Death Prophet should be able to fulfill that role.
Yeah, but I'm going to use this term again. When you're on a timer, I don't think you want to wait for every single exorcism needs to work out, basically, right? Because if they don't, then TB is going to get that extra item, and then you're going to be in a lot more of a rut. I mean, this is something that he's been playing a fair amount, the Slark, so I guess assuming that it's going to be a melee hero up against, paired together with the Mirana, so something that a Slark is going to have a pretty good time feasting against. It also gives them a little bit more of that pick-off style, so that they're not necessarily completely reliant on these big team fights. You know, maybe you can just make rotations with a Disruptor and an Earth Spirit and play a little bit more aggressive with the Slark, allow Pango and DP to perhaps farm a bit more. We still don't know 100% where, how these lanes are going to go, right? Like, this could be a DP mid. You never know. Up against the Tiny, it's not horrible. You're able to, again, harass from afar. Xiaoyu really likes playing the Pangolier in the off lane. I think it's a possibility, but, I mean, DP against the Terrorblade is pretty solid, too. You get a few more points into the than you normally would, and you're just able to harass the high armor, low HP TB from afar.
What are your thoughts on Sand King or Doom for Execration?
Don't hate the Doom. I guess that control is pretty decent, right? Like, if Grimstroke lands a nice Soulbind onto the Pangolier, there's nothing really stopping the TB from just standing and fighting, but I wouldn't hate to see a little bit extra, so... I mean, DP loves buying the BKB, Pango likes buying, obviously will be in the Rolling Thunder, so something like the Sand King I'm not as happy about, but... just something that's able to, draw attention away. Just, again, allow TB free reign to take the fights how he wants to, is what I really want here. It's okay, but again, this kind of feels like it's a little bit of a response to the Slark, right? I was mentioning that the Slark pickup, one, it's comfort for MKS, but two, it's also assuming that there's going to be a melee hero coming out that Slark's going to be able to trade relatively decently against. Enigma ain't that. and Disruptor has pretty terrible ways of being able to clear these waves. So I don't think they're going to be in too much of trouble with these Eidolons. The lane's always going to be back towards Execration's tower, and you can be delaying that level 6 on the Slark as well, which he does need if he's to, you know, rotate back to the jungle, pick up a little bit more of the farm in that way. So I like this Enigma pick.
I do as well. I actually had the opportunity to see this lane recently in the group stages, and I thought it was going to be pretty Enigma favored, but what I saw with the Slark and Disruptor is that they just got really aggressive. I'm pretty sure Slark went like Orb of Venom, and whenever the Enigma stepped a little bit too far forward, they glimpsed him back and just looked to play for kills instead of playing for the Eidolon. So I wonder if that's something they could do this game as well. I think one thing you did mention, it's always going to be an issue though, is that Enigma will naturally have the wave push back on his side. So I think a lot of it is going to come down to how they itemize if MKS does go for kind of an early item build to help with potentially finding kills, and if they can keep that small camp unblocked. If they can get a pull on the first couple of waves, reset the lane back once, and maybe look to get aggressive then, and you can even rotate the Earth Spirit as well potentially. So I do think this is a lane where the Enigma shouldn't lose his Eidolons, but I think he is going to be really cautious of his positioning.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the reasoning behind that. Maybe even LWW is going to go and buy like an observer ward, place it deep into the lane so that you can just be able to have vision when he might try and retreat back behind the tree line. And then you're still able to get the glimpse off, you get those early kills. And that's what a Slark needs, right? Slark needs to scale. He needs to be, again, a bit more of this brawling style, a little bit more of this active position 1. And I really feel like that's where MKS plays his best Dota, is when he's able to fulfill that kind of role.
See how he's going to be able to perform on the Slark this game. Something he's incredibly comfortable on, and something you were mentioning as well with the flex for EHOME, with being able to give Xiaoyu the Pangli. He's a Grandmaster Pango, so he plays this hero to such a high level.
Yeah. Knights, are we calling him Knight or are we calling him White Shen?
I think Knight. Has he got EHOME Knight or?
EHOME Knight, yeah.
Yeah, then I'd say, yeah, Knight.
30 seconds to battle.
There's Knight, there's Nightfall,
Yeah.
all these Smiling Knight. All the Knights, man.
Are you a Knight? Would you have been you're back in medieval days?
I'm more of a King type.
Shut up.
Bow down.
Oh, dude,
Kiss the ring.
The ego on this guy, what the hell?
You know, I said I needed a little bit of a G up today, and you know, that's I'm happy to get a little bit when I can.
Tino?
Well,
Yes.
be a little bit worried. No Orb of Venom though on MKS, so that might be what caused him to not get this kill.
He's got to be cautious of his positioning though. Sel goes for a blind kick. So he's actually going to try and use it onto the duo supports. LWW's got the Thunder Strike up shortly as well, so Shanks actually got to use it onto Carlo instead. A lot of damage into the Execration members down bottom, but Salad here pushes too far forward, not respecting the right clicks coming out from Shanks and that early Starstorm as well, so it's actually Execration who find first blood.
It's all about like just manipulating your position in the lane, right? I'm still probably I'm not the biggest fan of this Starstorm level 1 just because I feel like it's so relatively weak. I feel like you can be punished a decent amount, but again, if you're able to isolate someone and then you just deal, I mean, what is that? Quick mass, 135 damage before reduction. That's pretty solid. I don't think there's too much else that does more damage at level 1. Maybe just like Frost Blast on Lich, and that's about it. But MKS kind of get what he wanted though, right? He got a first wave that wasn't too hotly contested. Means that he's able to pick up that early level 2. Now they can look to potentially go for those kills with the Essence Shift and the Pounce. Already looking to use that one up against Shanks, but LWW still a fair way away from that level 2, so it doesn't seem like Shanks is going to go down. But on the other side of the map, we see Salad going down. This really isn't how I'm assuming they expected this lane to go.
No, and they didn't have meta for that kill. Maybe it was... I actually don't even know how. And he's actually... Oh, he's going to smoke and try and get back to top as well. So this is a little bit invested out of the Earth Spirit to try and rejoin Xiaoyu in the lane.
It's the power of that reflection, man. I'm telling you. It's one of the most busted abilities in the game. We need to see the support TB come out again.
Let's move...
Did that.
Wait, say that again, sorry.
I'm so happy when Infamous did that.
Yeah, now we can always bring it up. Now you can you know, mention it
I'm
has
never letting
worked
it go.
out. No, I know. Yeah, you haven't. I don't think you're going to stop as well. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll get it out from again. Carlo will be fine. Cell needs that level 2 so close. Only needs 2 more experience so he's able to find it. I do want to take a quick look at mid because I feel like the side lane's going to have a lot of action continuing to break out. How are we expecting this one to go down? The Death Prophet, you know, a hero that we haven't seen in quite some time up against the Tiny.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Death Prophet in general still. I feel like it was a little bit of a precursor, perhaps, to a Razor pick that might have been coming out. I feel like it's one of the biggest counters to that Razor if teams are going to look to try and run it. Fnatic tried to make it work yesterday, weren't too successful. And I feel like it's just really solid against most matchups. It gives you that tower push
Top
still.
lane. Salad should be able to get the Inkswell stun. Palace able to close the distance. Rolls up in a couple of seconds if he can get into the tree line, but he will not be able to do so fast enough. Nonetheless, though, Xiao Yu will also get his own kill.
I'd say TB is much more important, though. Again, this is just the Palace show. We've seen him just get completely out of control when you enable him to get this early farm. He's already got 2 kills on the board. He's bullying Xiao Yu back, completely out of regen on the Pangolier, and just freely farming these lanes.
Does look like both mid laners are going to be able to get a refill in the bottle. Salad TPing mid along with Mr. Carlo as well. He also gets a D ward for good measure on the Grimstroke. We'll be able to pick up a bounty. So nice little movement coming up from him.
Probably going to be protecting the 4-minute runes as well, considering they made that big rotation through. Although Carlo seems like he's tried to stack, but then messed it up a bunch of times with the attack range on the Grimstroke, probably not being as big as he might have been expecting. Instead, Salad just gets a free bottle. Sorry, not a bottle. Water rune. Knight gets the other one. So things working out for EHOME, specifically in that mid lane, but everywhere else seems all Execration.
MKS, he's going to actually pounce onto the Enigma. Tino's not playing with the Eidolons around him, so MKS doesn't feel too concerned.
Should be just fine. I mean, again, this is a Disruptor who's weak in the lane, and a Slark who's against 2 ranged heroes. So while that pounce still is level 1, you've got quite a long cooldown on it, 20 seconds. So there's very little time where you can actually look to go for these kills. And I mean, even if you wanted to now, it's kind of suicidal to jump into this split Eidolons wave.
Mid lane, just rolling from Salad, kick back as well. Bob's got the Avalanche to be able to hold Knight back. So again, putting a lot of attention onto the Tiny.
Salad's sticking around. He wants to get this kill. 3 seconds until the next roll. They don't see him. Toss back under the tower. That's very deep, Mr. Salad. Thinking maybe Bob might have waited another second or 2 just so they would have been able to get that avalanche to be able to stop the rolling boulder. And to get that free kill, all that valuable experience. Would have been wonderful for him to pick that one up for Bob, who he's had a pretty solid tournament as well.
Yep.
Some great individual performances coming through. Missing the range creep there. But the important thing is they just want to get rid of this siege creep, get rid of that tower taking potential again. This game is all on Tino. So if they can make space for him to be able to just put his big boy pants on and carry the game, there are very few counters to the TB this game.
Yeah, what do you feel like is kind of the big concern that Tino's going to have against the 5-man that EHOME have?
Maybe just getting kited a little bit. I mean, Slark can pounce around. You've got Xiao Yu, of course, with the Rolling Thunder, with a Swashbuckle. Earth Spirit can roll around. So I feel like this is going to be one of those games where it's just like, kill everyone but TB, and then deal with him last when you've got the outnumber.
Shanks. Looks like he will end up going down. Finally, EHOME are going to be able to get a kill around the tier 1 tower mid lane. They do bring up a lot of supports to look to play with Knight, and this is something that in general, China players always put emphasis on rotating support when you have a Death Prophet or a DK. They love to get early usage out of the ultimate and put some damage into the tower.
Oh yeah, especially. I mean, this is something that we saw LGD do the best out of anyone for quite some time. It was why they were at the top of the heap for
look at the toss back again.
As they were. Yep.
Sell it. This time he'll go down onto the tower. They might be able to get the return kill onto Bob, however, with a glimpse back. Bob will be able to get some distance away thanks to the arrow, but the spirits will continue to chase him down. So in the end, a 1-for-1. They do kind of stall out this EXO, even though they lose the position too.
They lose the pos too, but they lost a lot of creeps underneath that tower with no one claiming them at all. Tier 1 tower already down to about a quarter HP as well. So I feel like EHOME's going to be relatively happy with this. They don't need to necessarily use the exorcism to be able to secure it either. You might be able to hold out on it, wait for the 10-minute mark, 10-minute 30 rather, for the siege creep to get to mid, take that, then come top.
Kino getting dived onto the tower with the rotation out of Salad, and they were going to be able to dodge the arrow as well, so nothing Shanks can do. And the backstab's actually going to come out from LWW as well. Glimpse back, but they kind of use the pounce at the same time as well, so Shanks will be able to get that leap away to the high ground. Yeah,
the pounce actually connected, and then the glimpse broke it for him, so a little bit of unluckiness coming through there for EHOME.
Another move though. Salad now connecting to mid. The hold Carlo into place. They should be able to address the Phantom's Embrace. Even Xiao Yu. Okay, the Pangolier.
They really want mid.
Wanting to try and put some emphasis around this area. Carlo will go down. He tried to put the juking shoes on, but you're pretty happy with that, aren't you? On Execration, you force a Rolling Thunder, you bring Xiao Yu mid, Terrorblade shoving out top. I don't think that's the biggest death.
I don't think it's the biggest death, but the big issue for mine is that they are gimping Bob's game a lot. He is 1,000 net worth behind the Death Prophet, kind of to be expected from the laning stage, but you can't let this continue. Tiny's one of those heroes that absolutely needs to be scaling. You need to make sure that you're getting that early timing on your Blink Dagger, or going into the Echo Saber, but he's going to be a mile away from either of them at this stage. Tino might be in line to get glimpsed back here by LWW, but seems like with that nighttime, he's able to pull it back far enough that he's not going to be in too much danger, but has to be very careful about stepping back into this lane for now. He's going to be keeping a keen eye on that minimap for as soon as LWW reveals himself, which he just does as he takes the bounty rune.
Oh, look at this smoke. Just mirroring each other's movements. Smoke's going to pop in the river. Carlo looks inside the pit. He will get scouted out now, though. Acelo connects on the roll, and Carlo will end up going down, but he's going to try and buy enough space. Gets the deny on Roshan. Meanwhile, Xiao Yu, that's what the space was trying to be created for, so they can get the kill onto the Pangolier, but that Rolling Thunder used defensively to get him out. And now they're going to try and charge for Palos.
You're indeed.
He's got to be cautious, though. Palos has a crap load of damage and just turns it instantly, bringing down Salad, and now it's a wasted Exo as well.
Yeah, he's probably just going to try and salvage this one, go back to the ancient camp, farm up a little bit, but again, this was that big timing that I was expecting them to be able to play around. I think trying to kill the TB when you've already got such low HP on your Pango and you don't have the
river Bob. That's a huge combo. Woo. Okay, look at all the damage coming out. 2 points in the Inkswell with Bob's Avalanche was enough to bring down multiple members, and that's what you need to be able to catch back up on the Tiny, who had such a rough laning stage.
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, he's bringing himself up to level 8 now, so much more points to be able to get that big burst combination off. Again, you're against these heroes that are pretty good at carding you around, like I was mentioning before. MKS has to be a little bit careful. He's picking out the fact that they've got some sort of vision set up on top of him, but LWW seems a little bit more keen of trying to protect that bottom lane, and understandable. Tino's pushing it out like a beast. Siege creep, full idle on wave, even the buckler to be able to assist with that one.
Gotta be cautious. LWW's got the Static Storm ready. Of course, he'll need more members to help defend the tower. And that's where Xiao Yu's going to come into play. And now Execration, how do you take this engagement? You've gone too far. The Glimpse putting the Enigma in a position where there'll be nothing that Execration can do to keep him alive. But it does look like the tower will still go down nonetheless.
You're happy with that, I think, on Execration. You got the objective. You're looking to make a counter move happen. But maybe Bob and Shanks just a little bit low on the mana. They want to deal with this mid lane because Knight's been able to take that one completely free. I was mentioning that you would need to be playing around that siege creep timing, but he didn't actually need the rest of his team. I thought it would need to be a pretty full commitment from EHOME, so nice. Oh, who are they killing here?
Yeah, Carlo. Chucking some spells out onto Xiao Yu. Doesn't have a way to close the distance, though. So it's such a low level on the Ursper. They need to try and give him some space to get the farm. Meanwhile, on the river, attempted the toss back into the arrow. Not going to be on the mark now. Shanks should be fine as well. So both sides posturing aggressively, but no one being able to find kills at this stage.
Yeah, 2,000 net worth lead to Execration right now. It's mostly on the back of Palos. He's Speaking of him, he's coming towards the top lane, trying to catch out MKS here, who doesn't have the Shadow Dance available. They'll know this, and they know that this is a potential to be able to get this early kill. Nice little juke there, dodging out the arrow, but it's not going to be enough.
Mid lane. Maybe they can get a return kill onto Bob across the map. Even Exo's going to be committed to help secure the kill. EHOME, can they get an objective out of this, though? They're going to try and move their way bottom. Maybe actually just the stack of the Ancients. Might be happy with that.
They want to try and get Tino and the tower if they can. Slow down this Enigma a little bit, but good positioning by Tino, backing as far away as possible. Silence. I was thinking maybe he looks to try and turn around there, but that would have been a little bit too deep, especially considering there was no TP available on the Mirana or the Grimstroke, having TP'd top previously to get the kill onto the Slark. And speaking of Slark, he's gone right back onto Palace. Can he get this?
He might be able to.
Ooh. No points in the Sunder. I was thinking maybe he sunders its own illusion if MKS commits a little bit too deep, but didn't even have the point for it.
Yeah, we haven't really had the opportunity to speak a whole lot about Palace, considering a lot of the action we've had across the map is top of the net worth, 202, Yasha, and the Dragonlance already completed, so he's having an incredible start to this game, and you know, if he continues to free farm, will EHOME have the answers to the Terrorblade?
I don't think so. I think, you know, it's pretty simple, the build. I would be going Manta style just to help push out these lanes. Again, Earth Spirit, Disruptor, not the greatest at being able to deal with the split push, even the Slark to a lesser extent, and then straight into that Skadi afterwards. Seems like Execration want to make their move now, popping the Moonlight Shadow. They're pinging out the fact that they were playing around that mid lane, so they're going to go for the dodge over to the left-hand side, and if they can find a way to pick off Palace in the meantime, they'll be very happy with this. He'll reveal the fact that the Moonlight was used previously, and, well, here we go. Priority number one, take out that Terrorblade.
They're going to try and start up with the roll. Sets up for the Static Storm perfectly, and I don't think he's got enough health to be able to survive through all the ultimates. Execration, they're starting to move over. They'll knock Bob to the high ground. He will not be able to find that combo out to get the return fire, so that's a big kill for them to find. First death of the game here for Palos.
That's just some good map awareness coming through from EHOME, right? They knew exactly where people were grouping up. They knew that the lane wasn't being pushed in. It's either a smoke or a Moonlight Shadow that was happening. So they just took the safest route. They made sure to get a lot of play around their vision a lot more, and they just got lucky in being able to find the Terrorblade, which, you know, Dota comes down to luck once you get to these later stages where the higher skilled teams are still in the tournaments.
See.
Got a Wraith Pact almost picked up, though. Not sure if I'm the biggest fan of this Wraith Pact. I mean, Slark, Pango, sure, do a decent amount of physical, but it's not like it's god tier game for it anymore.
River, Shanks. Oh, they even pop Exo again for it. He might be blown up, though. They're going to be cautious. The Death Prophet doesn't have the items to be able to sustain at this stage in the game, especially when all of Execration are nearby to get that damage out. So another wasted Exo, and they've got Tino connecting as well with the Wraith Pack, but they're going to be able to run into him inside the jungle. Tino might be able to get the ultimate off before they blow him up, but a glimpse. Stops it short. Bob will still be able to pivot his attention over, laying down the combination. Doesn't have the damage at the moment, however. Back inside the river, MKS was able to assassinate the life of Carlo. He also gets out to live the tail. To make sure he doesn't eat the Aaron. MKS will be fine.
Their main priority was just defending that mid tier 1 tower. I'm sure that the comms on Execration was all about, do they have that Static Storm available? Can we look to make this attempt? But yeah, Tino just got caught on his path towards that mid lane, and, well, it swung back in EHOME's favor. This is how they would be wanting the game to go. You know, this is how they would be expecting their relatively strong early game draft to be panning out. Can't be giving up free kills like that, though.
It's the blink reveal at least, so one thing that they weren't aware of for Bobs.
They're going to go for a smoke here. Seems like they're clumping up a little bit, and it's going to be a 4-man? Yeah, it seems a little bit obvious, right? Lane kind of pushing in mid, definitely pushing at top. Seems like they want to be able to deal with that siege creep first before making any kind of active movement around the map. They're pinging up onto Bob. Trying to make the movement up onto him. I mean, he is the big tempo setter right now, you know? You take him out, then there's no... Well, there's significantly less damage available in Bob. How quick is he on the fingers? Oh, they get the Thunder Strike off in time.
Yeah, not fast enough. Great way to be able to sit
on
up.
The edge. He does.
All right, Bob gets out of the kinetic field. Do they have detection? Sentry's going to be laid down. I'll get that last instance of damage, and no one rotates on Execration as well, so just feeding Bob to the wolves.
Yeah, a little odd. He didn't even use a single bottle slip or his 9 stacks of the magic wand. I thought maybe he would try that just so that it would have cost a little bit more of a commitment coming through from EHOME to pick up that. They were able to take the mid tier 1 tower, I suppose. Oh, rather, it was denied by DP, but the damage was put in. Cute little play, though, with the illusion rune.
Yeah, yeah. Very nicely done. It's kind of what we come to expect out of Bob, though, is a very flashy player.
Alright, so for me, the name of the game for Execration is pretty simple. I've talked up the importance of Palos on his TB. He's doing a great job so far. So vital, this game, of being able to find out that disruptor. You know, you can go this Blink Dagger on the Enigma, which Tino's got queued up, 800 gold away, but unless you actually kill that disruptor, he's going to glimpse you every single time, at least until that BKB is available. So I'm going to expect to see, once that Blink Dagger is available, a whole lot more wraparound sort of play going on. Smokes, trying to find the backlines, get some super deep vision up so that you know exactly where the backline of EHOME is.
Oh,
Actually, earlier BKB than I was expecting for Palos as well. It's only 200 gold away.
Oh, yeah. Got a grow bow as well, which can be pretty nice for the Terrorblade to play with. See how much that's going to be able to impact him through a lot of the fights. He's in fighting shape and ready to go. Both sides probably considering about Roche. Of course, you got the Exo thanks to the Death Prophet, and for Dire just purely with the Wraith Pact and also the Terrorblade as well. So definitely both sides have to be ready and get themselves set up for that engagement.
They're trying to keep it a surprise as well, this BKB. He didn't buy any of the components and bring it out to himself, which most of the time I'm like, well, you got to make sure that you're being as efficient as possible. Every little bit of damage is very important. But, I mean, a BKB reveal on a Terrorblade at this stage would be absolutely devastating. Someone's going to need to respond to this top side, though, and again, you got LWW in place with an Observer Ward placed at the perfect spot to be able to get a glimpse of if someone does come back.
He's still able to get the jump with the chain control and the burst. They actually bring him down. Can they still take the fight on EHOME? They're going to be down 2 members shortly with Salad rolling into the middle and no one else nearby to maybe capitalize. So Execration find 2 kills, and really the big one though is onto MKS's Slark.
I still don't think they've seen this BKB, so Palos is just going up into the high ground. He's happy to pop this one.
That is indeed, with the protection of Bob as well. He's going to stand his ground, strong against Knight, and the Death Prophet's got nothing to do. The physical damage, it'll rip apart the magic immunity. Now LWW will go down as well, and that's right in front of the pit.
Yeah, they wouldn't just continue to run into that TB if they knew he had the BKB, right? It would have been an instant retreat coming through. Palos, even before that fight, was by far the highest net worth in this game. And off the back of that, you get a couple of kills for free. Metamorphosis, able to just convert into Roche super easily with that Wraith Pact as well.
Oh, that's an early roll. Oh,
that is a very early roll. Yoink. Some more net worth for me.
Oh, first.
Now Bob got more of that burst potential. Echo Saber coming through for him. And just a little bit of that nice mana regeneration for staying out on the map a bit more. Not having to rely entirely on the bottle.
I don't think this Death Prophet's game gets any easier. Nope. Like you're going Halberd to address the Terrorblade, but you don't really have any armor items. Scardy's probably going to be something you're considering next. The Terrorblade's actually going damage in regards to the Daedalus, so very interesting, but there are multiple ways to be able to get the jump and blow him up through that combination, and this Disruptor's, of course, expected going greedy with this Static Storm Scepter, so you don't have a defensive item maybe to protect the DP long enough.
I think he's just saying, look, the BKB is basically my Scardy, right? He just wants that to be there so that he can reduce the ongoing effectiveness of the DP and the Pangolier and even the Slark in some of these team fights. So if he's got that, it's still just going to enable him to stand there and fight, but now he's going to have more damage to actually take out these heroes, notably the Pango, when he's just trying to roll through and create havoc for the rest of the team.
Very nice read from EHOME. We'll be able to avoid the smoke gank, and now this will give them an opportunity to reclaim their triangle. Try and get some wards out, try and get some D-warning going on as well.
I trust everyone was out of sight.
It's the power of the Mirana, though. You use a smoke, doesn't work out. Maybe they used the Moonlight Shadow a little bit early. Palos was still showing on the bottom side of the lanes, so if the vision is on point from EHOME, looking at the minimap, they'll know to be able to dodge out. They'll be playing completely inside of their own vision, just around the Sentry and Observer Ward combinations, and you can even see MKS, despite the fact that he's got that Aghanim Scepter, he's playing quite defensively, hanging back, just hugging the safe areas as much as possible.
Radiant structures are fortified. Dire structures
Even an
are
aggressive glyph
fortified.
coming through. Well, I guess it serves dual purpose. Up top, stopped the push a little bit, but Knight's committing up top here. Again, when these TPs come back, if they do, got to make sure that you're not just TPing in vision of the Disruptor, who's got that high ground ward set up as well. Doesn't seem like they want to defend it all, though, or if any, it's just going to be that tier 3 on the high ground that Tino's already brought himself back to.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
What can we see from EHOME to be able to kind of turn this game around with this 5,000 deficit? How do the fights need to look for them?
To me, probably Tino dying first. Again, he doesn't have the greatest defensive items if he's not able to get that Wraith Pact off. So if you can get this Blink Dagger on Xiao Yu to just use the Rolling Thunder instantly into the Blink onto the Enigma, you've got the damage to be able to close that one out. And then once that's done, maybe you can then use that to go onto the Tiny, because obviously he's not going to have that physical damage reduction from the Wraith Pact. He's not going to have the damage amp either. BKB coming shortly-ish for MKS, but I think every single successful team fight is going to be on the back of Tino just not being there. It's all about kiting out this TB for mine. Especially now that he's got Daedalus.
It's like, how the hell are you going to do that? It's kind of almost
They got
on
movement abilities. They got leap, they got roll, they got swashbuckle.
We'll see if they will be fast enough on the fingers to be able to dodge out that damage. I mean, you got to hit it a couple times, get some crits going, as we're actually going to see mid lane. Bob with the jump. Xiao Yu just able to activate the hood fast enough, so will survive. But of course, Execration always ready to find a potential opening. It makes it so difficult for EHOME to play the map, and that's why this net worth lead is continuing to grow. It's up to 7,000 now.
LWW's kind of been a split push stopper as well. Glimpse, one of those abilities that instantly deals with illusions, and he's just been trying to run out into the lane, take a little bit of attention away from his cause, and deal with this this TB rat play that they've been going for.
Radiant's bottom
Still
tower
45
is
seconds
under
left on the Aegis. I wonder if they want to commit onto this tower. I would. You know, you've got the net worth lead, 7k. You've got a creep wave to be able to play around. Try and find a quick pick off, but doesn't seem like Bob's too happy to do it just yet. Still wanting to pick up that BKB for himself. So it's going to be, I don't want to say a wasted Aegis, but I feel like they could have potentially got a second tier 2.
I guess you're probably at least happy still with at least the net worth growth that they've had from them.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're EHOME by this stage of the game, you would have wanted to take more towers than they have right now. I mean, this is probably all outer towers would be the ideal scenario for them. So the fact that they've still got 2 tier 2s to be able to play around with on Execration, they should be feeling pretty confident with that and enable TB just to now go back, farm, pick up that next item, Hurricane Pike, and any 4-star for that matter, going to be incredibly effective against a Slark. Just the DP, right? Just dodge out. I mean, I said that EHOME needs to be playing a little bit of that kiting game, but if you're able to break the leash on the pounce, if you're able to force stuff away from Rolling Thunder, get away from...
Tino. They're going to commit to the fight. They saw Palos TP back. This is a big opening, but look at the damage coming through from Bob. They'll get the kill into the Disruptor. All of EHOME are really slow to connect. They're going to go to the Tiny instead of the river.
Go back in here.
Playing with MKS. If they can kite the fight long enough, Palos is starting to move on over. So by unleashing them together, they get the arrow combination onto the Death Prophet as well as Tina finds the opening. The black hole into the river, holding 2 members down. And EHOME, which is too late to capitalize without Palos nearby. And they'll be penalized for this as Execration find multiple members and put them in the grave.
Don't worry, Sagan.
Yeah, it was a little bit odd positioning coming through from Tino, and I was actually wondering, like, why are you still holding on to that broom handle, brother? But ended up saving him. Just that little bit of extra armor coming through, making sure he doesn't die, gets the Wraith Pact off, stops the follow-up damage from coming through, and I know they've got a Slark to be able to play around with, but anytime that you're taking these team fights at night, someone like an Enigma, especially if he's got an Observer Ward to play around with, like the one that Carlo's placed next to that power rune, it's just going to enable the effectiveness of that black hole so much. And now he's got the BKB, so he doesn't even need to worry about the Disruptor anymore. He could just catch out anyone effectively.
MKS
I suppose he
he
needs to catch Pango now, though, right? Pango's got the Basher, so they've got one way to stop the BKB
MKS is committed again with the pounce. Bob has got no mana now to turn it, though. They're going to try and teep into the outpost. They'll be able to glimpse one member away. But Bob does escape. Okay. He's still hunting on MKS. Let's see if he's going to be able to catch up. Goes to the left side, but MKS has the night vision. This is too deep, man. MKS! What can you do? How can you escape? You've already used the Shadow Dance, and Bob laughing his way to victory, and Palace as well gets another one for good measure. Oh no. This is... Oh, that's rough.
Reeks of a little bit of desperation, though, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Like they are just going on to these heroes, but I feel like it's past the stage of tempo that they need to stop, right? Killing Bob now really doesn't mean that much of anything unless it's in a big team fight. You need to kill Tino. He is the one that's going to stop you from having a big amount of effectiveness that's going to be buffing up the Terrorblade as much as he can. So Tino might be looking to go for this quick pick-off on tonight, force out the BKB if possible. Doesn't seem like he's going to take the bait, though. He's got a wealth of riches right now on Tino. He had the Psychic Headband, great for an Enigma to play around with. But he's like, you know what? Quickening Charm feels pretty good too. So he gives the headband over to Carlo.
This is going to be Love and Life. Second in net worth. Had a pretty solid game. Nothing crazy. MKS maybe take two onto Bob. Gotta be cautious though. Tino, Black Hole in 15. They're not gonna have it just yet. They need to kite the fight, but they might not need it actually.
Got the
leash holding both the cores into a position. Palace can start to get the damage going. They're kiting at the moment. Slark with the pounce away, and Jiaoyu with the rollout as well.
Just gonna be able to get away in time. I think they're just gonna take the safe route, maybe push in this top tower, realize that they don't have a ton of ultimates to play with. How long left on the meta? About half duration. They're going to try and hope that Roshan's back up, but still a very long respawn on it. 1.5 minutes remaining. I'm sure Execration would love to be able to take away that last remaining outer tower. Makes it a lot harder to be able to go for these, you know, D-ward missions up onto the high ground if you don't have an instant way for the rest of your team to be able to TP and back you up. And, well, that's what they do, just prior to Roche coming through. Now Execration, the name of the game is pretty simple. Just wait for the Metamorphosis. Guaranteed Roche is going to be up after that point. And just keep your high ground vision. You've got all the other big cooldowns that you could possibly want. So I think even a unmetamorphosis TB is going to be enough to dissuade them.
Especially with how farmed he is. Even got 4k gold in the bank as well. Xiaoyu gets he's actually going to blink aggressively into the middle. And again, Knight with the extra pop, but the Soulbind is going to be able to hold them back. They do have a bit of issues with MKS. He's starting to get some essence out. A decent start to the fight, but it's another pretty heavy commitment. They're going to try and hope that they can get more. This time it's going to be Shanks that's caught in the river as well. It's already looking for the +1. Sell it onto the high ground. Roll to escape. Maybe they can turn it. Taking a fight around the choke point. They'll get the glimpse back, but Palace pops the BKB and he's okay. Ready for the black hole in the tree line. Tino's waiting for the opening. He's not going to be able to find it just yet. And now Tino, there we go. BKB black hole onto 2 once again. It's always expected from Tino's Enigma. They don't have the response to him, but no one's gone down just yet. MKS has gone too far. Now Bob will get the toss back as well. Avalanche onto 2. Jiaoyu just jumped into the meat grinder as Execration. The start of the fight wasn't looking good, but it didn't matter. They kited it back to their own side of the map. And they'll be able to turn that on its head.
Yeah, I mean, Tino, again, just finding the right target at the right time. He knows that the only hero that he needs to make sure that he gets that black hole onto is the Pangolier. Catching him, plus another core at the exact same time, just opens up the game, and the team fights so much even without that metamorphosis. And, well, Palace is free to pop it now if he wants, but they might be happy enough with just forcing this glyph. Really wouldn't be surprised to see if he just use it now, though. Still has a siege creep to be able to play around in both mid and top.
Radiant's middle tower
Maybe just wanting to save it for Roche.
Radiant's middle barracks are under
I guess what do you do with new respawn though in EHOME? No Exo, no Static Storm.
are fortified.
Rolling Thunder and Prey.
Okay, Rolling Thunder and Prey. I like that. Let's see how the praying works.
Might not get this melee racks. Using the Yule Scepter on the illusion. Kill it! Kill it!
Oh my lord, kill it!
Alright, well, this is their chance. If EHOME are going to come back into the game, it's going to be right now. But they're going to know exactly when and where they're coming to try and kill them. Nice deep ward set up as well by LWW inside of the Dire jungle. So you're actually going to have a bit of an idea of where that Enigma is.
Tries to get the D ward. Bob, is he going to jump afterwards? Not the case. The Ink Sword will be kited. Might give an opening, but again, the Soulbind onto both the cores. They're getting control, so it gives enough space for Palos to get the Aegis, and now he wants kills as well. It's going to move over to MKS. Under the cover of the Shadow Dancer, MKS will be okay for the moment. Execration, who do they want to turn their attention to ever? Maybe it's going to be Knight. He's putting himself in a position that Terrorblade can continue to right-click. Metamorphosis is now going to be activated. So Palace will turn to try and deal with the Slark instead. But once again, under the cover of the Depth Shroud, Slark's going to be okay for the moment. So they're going to go for the easy kills onto EHOME's members in the lane. But Palace, well, a couple of crits and should be able to easily dispatch to the life of Selid. And do they sniff him out of the tree line? You bet they do. Bob jumps in, no care in the world. They might be able to get LWW as well. Without any stuns to cancel the TP, the Disruptor will make it away, but it doesn't look like it matters. Execration get everything from Roshan. Now, well, that's it. They're going to call it quits. They won't even have to try and wait to see another fight as Execration will find game one.
Yeah, tick-tock, and, well, they just weren't able to convert quickly enough onto that Terrorblade. I mean, the Slark, it's understandable. They were expecting it to be the classic melee range setup for the laning stage, but it really just does feel like MKS wasn't able to realistically do anything up against that Terrorblade, right? They weren't able to open up the map as much as they wanted to. They were Radiant, and yet they lost the Roshan twice. So I really felt like they needed to have someone that was going to be able to A, take towers, B, deal with a Terrorblade, and C, quickly deal damage into that Roshan. For me, it was the Leshrac. They didn't opt to go for it. It would have made Wraith Pact a bit worse of an option as well. All of that new magic damage. So I think this is probably a draft issue for mine. I mean, Execration had it pretty solid across the board, despite a rough start to the game for Bob in the mid lane. He had a lot of attention given over to him, but it just goes to show team play is what matters. You know, they opened up the map for each other, allowed them to reach those peaks and valleys of who needs to be farming at what point. I really want to commend the communication that must have been going on Execration.
It's funny you brought that up because that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it seems like EHOME, a lot of the games they win is off the back of some kind of individual brilliance. Of course, it's a new roster. I also am not quite sure if there's some language difficulties. I know Xiaoyu is fine in that regard. I'm not 100% certain with MKS. I don't know.
He's played in China before. I'm sure it'd be fine.
Okay, so regardless though, okay, so obviously no language issues then, but it does seem like there is a communication issue in a lot of the fights. Like, their coordination isn't there. That is to be expected as a new team. They're still trying to find their footing, but really when they've been dropping the ball on EHOME is the team fights. A lot of the kind of the mid to late game team fights that continue to struggle in, and this game it's no different.
You know what I am happy about though? I feel like Knight had a pretty decent performance on his Death Prophet, right? Like, he won the laning stage. It means that he's not this one trick wonder with the Lina, right? The Invoker, of course, like you mentioned, he played a pretty decent one that time around as well, but it's just knowing that you've got a little bit more draft flexibility than you might have expected previously is a nice little tool to have.
Well, that is just game one, ladies and gentlemen. But Execration will be able to take it in pretty convincing fashion. 33 minutes in with a 16-30 kill count. A great performance from them, but let's see if they're going to be able to replicate in game two. We'll find out after the break.